Hey everybody, Michael Snyder, Pacific Northwest Weather Watch. Today is May 15th. Right now we are looking at the infrared satellite imagery. Take a look at this band of moisture stretched across Pacific Ocean. Kind of mimics what an atmospheric river is, but it's not something you would probably classify as such. They do tend to weaken at this time of year, but it is a frontal system, and we are going to have some troughing here as we go through this weekend. Some interesting precipitation amounts and some noteworthy things happening across some of the higher terrain. We'll take a look at the extended forecast as always as we go through the video here this morning. Looking at lightning strikes over the last 24 hours. Look at northeast Washington, some of the Rocky Mountains of Montana into Idaho did have some plentiful amounts of lightning activity. Nothing for western Washington, Oregon, or southwest BC, however, but that may change here over the next couple of days. Taking a look here at the Tempest weather station, this one picks up lightning activity. I've seen it pick it up even further than 25 miles, but this is a very fun weather station. If you want one of these, click on the link down below to save yourself 10% off. Now, looking at things right now, you can see we are starting to get a little bit of light rain there for Tofino on Vancouver Island, probably starting in Quileute here over the next few hours, and eventually as we go through this evening across some of the interior areas. It's not a very strong frontal system, but we definitely have more precipitation after that coming through this weekend and potentially on in through next week. If you look at across Montana, it looks like it's raining there at Great Falls and Missoula right now as well. It's like Mullen Pass is only 31 degrees and dealing with some freezing fog also. Now, taking a look here at the Patreon page, if you want to sign up, it is free to sign up on this page. And you can see people sending me pictures of dust devils and anvils and thunderstorm activity. So if you want to do that, go to the community tab and send that to me. This is a good place to support the channel if you want to do so as well. So thunderstorm outlook today, kind of similar areas. This is tomorrow. And then day 3, you notice how it starts to get a little bit larger. It could even move into western Washington or western Oregon. More on that here starting right now with the European model. This is for today, Thursday. You can see it across Montana and Idaho. We go on in through Friday, start to introduce some of that for the higher terrain of this interior of British Columbia. And then we go to Saturday. You notice some of that instability start to pop up here across western Washington and western Oregon. Can't rule out a lightning streak there on the day Saturday, but you see the potential there increase cascades east, especially for Saturday afternoon. There's Sunday afternoon. We go on in through Monday as well. And then we take a look off into next week. It looks like things do generally stay east of the mountains, but we'll watch that as well. Some instability maybe around on Tuesday. So taking a look here at the European, this is the deterministic run of the main model. You can see that there's Pacific Northwest to the right. We're looking at the Gulf of Alaska view. There's Southeast Alaska. So we have this next system rolling in as we go through this week, and you can kind of see this ridge out over the Pacific Ocean here, and that's allowing that northwest flow. This kind of chilly trough here is going to be with us through this weekend, bringing some decent precipitation amount and even some, actually some significant mountain snows to some areas here. I'm going to point that out here in a moment. I just want to point that out for some of the backcountry people. You're going to want to see this here in a bit. And then we kind of keep the troughing, the lowered heights there across western Canada. And yeah, and the ridges really don't have much time to build here. And this trough is probably going to be coming in a bit fast and furious as well as we go on in through and continue on in through next week. So looking at the European model, this is 6-hour precipitation type. And as we go on into this afternoon, you see the light precipitation starting. This swings across the region, and we get a little bit of a break there, maybe on Friday, not too much of one. And then we bring that next system here as we go through Saturday morning. You can see a lot of the region here, including the Willamette Valley, Puget Sound, Southwest BC is getting some rainfall. And then we scroll on in through Saturday afternoon, and it looks like some interesting totals there are starting to show up, as you can see across some of western Washington. And then we scroll on in through Sunday morning. Notice that convergent zone activity kind of hanging out there. That could be some increase in some mountain snows across the higher terrain, especially from Stevens down towards Snoqualmie Pass. Now, taking a look here at, as we go on in through next week, you can see the next frontal system on tap as we go through the day Monday, and then maybe another system after that as we go towards the end of the week also. So taking a look at composite reflectivity over the next 60 hours. I just want to kind of show you that frontal system rolling in here as we go today. It's not exceptionally rainy or anything like that. And then we go on in through Friday. You see the showers continue on, and then we start to bring some of that more unstable air here as we go on in through the day on Saturday. So you can't rule out a thunderstorm with some of this action here as well, but will probably be of the one and done variety. Now, total precipitation in inches, let's take a look at this. So the precipitation starts for Seattle and Portland as we go through this afternoon. Generally higher amounts across some of the Willamette Valley initially versus the Seattle Metro, for example. A little bit of rain shadowing there. And then we go on in towards Saturday, and you can see the precipitation just continues to climb for places like Seattle and Portland, getting up over a half an inch, up over 3/4 of an inch of rainfall by the time all is said and done, with probably more on the way after that. Look, it puts Seattle up over an inch by the time we get towards Monday night from where we are right now. Look at some of these higher amounts across the higher terrain. That's fairly beneficial at this time of year. You can see some areas getting up over 2 inches, and look at how the central Cascades there are bullseyed. I'll point that out. And some of the central Puget Sound as well, a little bit bullseyed also. So if we look at artificial intelligence, you can kind of see a 24-hour multiple run trend. These are previous model runs here, and this is where we are as of last night. And kind of see Seattle maybe up towards a half an inch, then another bump here as we go through the early portion of next week. And then as we go on in through the following week, it continues to show some precipitation chances. We can kind of see how it's back and forth, and that's to be expected when you're looking that far out into a forecast. Now, this is another way to look at things here as well. This is the European ensembles. So you can all these gray lines are one of 50 ensemble members. The green line is the mean, and the blue line is the control run. The initial conditions, best we understand them. The ensembles are all tweaked. Each one of these lines are tweaked to try to correct for any errors we may have in our understanding of the initial conditions. So you can kind of see it is pretty close there, though, as we go on into the mid portion of next week. And this is just another way to look at that same thing. In this blue box, I believe, is between 75th and 25th percentile there of the ensembles. It could be 90th and 10th. I'm drawing a blank on that right now, but you can also see the extreme nature of some of those ensemble runs kind of put in there by those dashed lines. Now, if we take a look at something similar here as well, you can see all 50 ensemble members. There's the control initial conditions, best we understand them, at the bottom. And then we kind of let this run out, and you kind of see how things really start to diverge as we go through the end of May. The control run even had a day for Seattle at 87 degrees, but of course you can see we don't have ensemble agreement for that, so it's not something you'd really get too excited about just yet. But it is that time of year where we can start warming up if things line up correctly. But yeah, you can kind of see how things diverge once you get farther off into a forecast. And you'll also notice how these temperatures are suppressed here as we go through this the rest of this week and on into the weekend and on in through much of next week. Now, looking at 24-hour total snow-Kuchera ratio, which takes into account the lower levels of the atmosphere other than just a blind 10-to-1 snow ratio. But look as we go on in through the day Sunday. Look at these snowfall totals right between Snoqualmie and Stevens Pass. There's a lot of good trails out there, a lot of good lakes, a lot of good hiking out there. So I know people are going to be off in the backcountry, but remember this because it's going to be raw Saturday night and into Sunday morning and much of the day on Sunday. Again, some areas getting up over a half a foot of snowfall there, and you can see Mount Rainier kind of bullseye there as well. So just going to keep that in the back of your mind. It's going to be kind of a raw, chilly weekend here and on into the early portion of next week as well. Now, looking at the European Artificial Intelligence long-range forecast or extended forecast, here we go. There's our system this weekend swooping down across the region. Transient ridge doesn't have much to it, easily gets flattened out by the next trough. And then we wait for that next system to swing through the later portion of next week. And then it's been showing some interesting solutions off in the extended. Look at this trough digging all the way down the west coast of North America and kind of slowly trudging and swinging through. That'll give Storm Chaser something to chase out across the plains as well. And that would keep things definitely unsettled here for much of the Pacific Northwest through the end of May. But then who knows, maybe we're going to get a ridge to build behind that and maybe start to warm things up and get some nicer weather in here. We'll continue to check back daily on that. So taking a look here at the European Artificial Intelligence. So this is the jet stream at 18,000 feet. And like, kind of hesitate to call it even the jet stream because it's not really where jets are flying out across the Pacific Ocean. But you can see the troughs there as we go through this weekend. You see the ridge there, trough, ridge. These are what's known as Rossby waves. So I talk about Rossby wave configuration when I do my El Nino, La Nina, El Nino Southern Oscillation videos. That's what I'm talking about here. So that is why we pay so much attention to the ENSO conditions across the equatorial Pacific, because the heat transfer process has big effects on where these Rossby wave train configurations will set up, and sometimes that can give us a very nice look into the future and we can have a good idea what's coming for winter. So basically that's why La Nina versus El Nino can mean big differences in what you get here across the Pacific Northwest. If I scroll on into the future, you can kind of see how these are correlated: trough, ridge, trough, all the way down. So where that heat transfer takes place across the equatorial regions of the planet have big implications around the rest of the globe as well. Now, looking at the European Artificial Intelligence as we go out towards the end of May, you can see you got that above average signal that has been showing up now. It's becoming a bit more persistent, so we might end up the second half of May above normal, and we definitely need it. And this is the total precipitation inches here. So you can see Seattle from now towards the end of May, about 2.5 inches of precipitation. This would be pretty beneficial to much of the region. And again, like I said, we need it. This is since January 1st. A lot of the region has been quite substantially below normal in precipitation amount. And since April 1st, it's been really bone dry here across much of the region. So we could definitely use it. 6 to 10 day, again, they got that below normal signal as we go through May 24th, the troughing around, and this below normal signal there as well. But yeah, we'll see how that plays out. I don't know, the Climate Prediction Center might not be picking up that trough just yet. But anyway, yeah, I'll stop rambling on here. What else? Click like and subscribe. We will do this all again tomorrow, and I will talk to you guys then.